teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Big time, lot of slime. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Yeah. Big time, big time, big time. Big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. It's running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Got it in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ysn Power Hour. It is a Tuesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour, and it is brought to you by all our great sponsors, such as Baird Brothers. And we'll get to them in their segment in just a moment. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Pretend to be a Time Traveler Day. Pretend to be a time traveler. So the question begs, if you were a time traveler, where would you go? And would you go at 88 miles an hour and see some serious stuff along the way? Let's go to Donnie. Where would you go?
Oh, I mean, I would absolutely go backward in a sentimental aspect to, like, go back maybe 15, 20 years to see my dad and be able to hang out with him every day, maybe take him to some places that he never actually got a chance to go. So 100% backwards for that. But, if it was not sentimental, I would definitely go forward just to see what my kids would be up to, 30, 40 years from now.
What are they up to right now? You got one in the back seat. You got one next to you.
And then the other one's at basketball practice. So just doing some fatherly things on the way home from school. So
being Papa Bear, I like it. Rob, would you go forward or backward, and what would you do?
I'd probably go backward. I'm gonna say to, I believe it would have been. Give me a second. I want to say April of 1999. Okay. And I would have told my buddy to go to hell when he told me that his ex-girlfriend was here and she was whatever. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. All right. There it is.
Wait, I gotta be really PG-13. We got kids in the car too. Oh my god!
Oh, you don't.
We're in trouble now.
You really gotta.
You don't have to be PG-13 around my kids. I promise.
I can only imagine the words that come out of the Riccatelli home during a Saturday Ohio State game.
Buddy, there's a reason why I don't do Boardman Girls High School games for YSN.
I love it. I would definitely do the DeLorean, be that time traveler, do the 88 miles an hour with Doc Brown. I would go I'd certainly go back. And it's funny because I'm going to just outline exactly what you said, Donnie. I'll go back, 10, 15 years and see my old man and just to give him a little bit more of the thank yous that he deserved. And I would definitely go for. I would be the Gray's Almanac guy. That I'd go forward just to get the Gray's Almanac so I could come back and be Biff Tannen and raise an empire. So I would be all about it, picking all the bets. But I know that's cheating, and you can, whatever that is, that the space-time continuum, you can ruin that. But listen, I don't care. At that point, what does it matter? You got a time machine. You can go and fix everything. So happy.
If I was being serious, though, I would say go back. I would actually go back to when I was 5 years old. I gave myself like one of those Tony Robbins unbelievable pep talks and like mentally prepare myself for planet Earth as an adult. Just talk myself up and tell me ready for everything.
I mean,
if I was being serious.
If you could go back and tell yourself one thing as a time traveler, when would it be and where would you tell yourself it? And what would it be, I guess?
I seriously would probably pick the 5-year-old version and just break it down and explain to him how to get through everything and what the best decisions to make were.
Would 5-year-old Rob Mush listen to the elder version?
Oh, I'd have to pull out a belt or something. I'm just saying, Once my 5-year-old version got, I had my 5-year-old's attention, then we might be all right.
You strike me as Dennis the Menace at 5 years old.
I was terrible. I was an absolute monster. There was just not a lot of direction, but. I was Dennis the Menace. I'd break your window, but I'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, let me bake you an apple pie," or some stuff like that. I don't know.
Let's go, Donnie. What would you say to your former self? Where would you have to go? How far back would you have to go?
I'd probably have to start maybe around 10 years old, and really because that's when sports were getting hot and heavy for me, and telling myself like, you know what. You do need to go to that jump stretch. You do need to lift those extra weights and everything else just to be the best that you possibly can be. Because I definitely, I had a lot of success, in high school sports, but I definitely could have done much more if I would have only worked harder. So, and I think that would have set the tone for the rest of the stuff in life too. Like, when you're 18 and you're on your way to college and they get you signed up for those credit cards and all that stuff, it's like, okay, let's learn some money management too now, pal. That would be early on in life. That'd be awesome. Alan, get out. All right. So
I would,
so
I would head to 7th grade. 7th grade, I think, is where everything changed for me. You're starting to play football. You get those transformations going. And for me, I would care a little bit more about my grades, like everybody told you to during that time. And I would probably dig a little bit deeper into just relationships in general, just with friendships and things of that nature. So that's where I would go. And I would try to tell myself not exactly what to expect, but to always expect the unexpected and just know that it's always going to be all right, at least till you're 36. So if you got 7th grade is 12 years old, 13, 12, 13, 14, 12 years old. I mean, if you know that you've got guaranteed 22 years or 24 years that you're going to make it out all right, I think that'd be good. And I think that's part of the issue is everybody is so afraid to take steps now, like that next step, because you don't know what it's gonna be. So I'm interested. I'm very interested. It's also National Brownie Day, in case you were wondering. So happy National Brownie Day.
We can talk brownies.
I'm not a fan. I'm not.
No, we can't.
Of brownies?
I'm not. I'm just unless they're like really crispy on the outside, and it has to be like perfect, really gooey on the inside. I'm out, man. Basically, you're making me a cake that's burnt around the outside.
I love brownies.
Let's get to the Would You Rather, Rob, presented by our good friends over at Baird Brothers Fine Hard Woods. Would you rather do what today?
All right. Would you rather live by Hakuna Matata
No worries.
or YOLO?
Man.
Wow.
Did you break out the shovel?
You know what?
Deep.
this is really deep. But I would have no worries knowing that I'd be only living once. So I'd be YOLOing big time.
Does he sound like a bot to you?
He sounds like he's getting ready to have robotic legs implanted.
Okay, yeah, you sound like a bot.
Uh-oh.
It's a risky operation, but it'll
Is
be
that
worth
any
it.
better?
I don't know, talk.
Is that any better?
No, you're still like a bot. I don't know what it is.
Hello.
I thought it was because you were in the car, but I don't think that's it.
It's like a vibration.
All right, I'll leave and come back.
Okay, we'll see you in a minute. Man, no worries is tough, right? Because there's a lot to worry about, really.
It depends on how you're looking at it, because me personally, there's I haven't had hardly any worries. I wasn't really a worrying type, and it was kind of like, hey, whatever happens, happens.
Now you guys sound like the three blind mice.
There you
Yeah,
go.
he's still shaking. I'll tell you right now, if I had to pick though, I'm used to usually living without worries. I mean, there's a few here and there, but nothing major. But I'm definitely one of those you only live once types, and there's plenty of people that can vouch for that, and they've seen a lot of that stuff go down, and just hanging out, stuff like that. There's a lot of stories. I'll tell you right now. I tell people this all the time, and it's not a joke. If I wrote a book, you wouldn't put that thing down.
Maybe we should write a book.
It's going to be interesting.
Let's do it. Let's get you a ghostwriter, and they can transcribe it for you. So I'd read it. For sure, I'd read it. No worries. Again, no worries. For me, it's tough because I worry. I'm a worrier, like, constantly. I'm a worrier and a warrior, and I worry way more than I battle. So I'm going to go with YOLO because I do that a lot. Not like to the umpteenth degree, and I don't wear shirts about it, but you only live once, and listen, I'm always talking about, even on my little walks that I used to do this summer, in my motivational speeches and pep talks, I think that when you realize that you only get one ticket on this ride, you start doing things a little bit differently, and that could be good and that could be bad. Like, the risks you can take are certainly out there. You're like, I'm not going to be jumping out of a plane anytime soon, but at the same token, I'm going to make sure that I capitalize the most that I can on this ride. And if you're doing that, you're going to have some. To me, you're going to have some worries. You're going to have to worry about the people you're close to. If you have a business, you got to worry about your business, making sure that the lights stay on. But man, to do the you only live once, sometimes that can get sketchy too. You know what I mean?
Oh, it could get very sketchy actually, especially depending on who's around and how much you drank or whatever you're doing. It could get very sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I say you only live once, it just depends on who's going around. But I would be the one that jumping out of the plane, bungee jumping, stuff like that.
You would do that stuff?
Oh, without hesitation.
Have you done any of that stuff to this point?
No, I've never jumped out of a plane. I've done some pretty crazy stuff, but it's quite that conversation we wouldn't be able to have it on this show. But
well, you got a
just talk
motorcycle,
about
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a motorcycle, so you're already ahead of me on that. Like, there was a point in time that I wanted a motorcycle, and then I realized quickly that I wasn't even that good on a bicycle, so a motorcycle wouldn't suit me. So I thought it would look cool.
And the motorcycle thing, I mean, it's I don't ride like an idiot either.
Yeah.
I got a street bike, not a cross truck, nothing like that.
Do you wear a helmet?
I'll tell you right now, no, I can't. And when I first started riding, I did have a helmet on, and this is back in 2013, my first bike, 2012 or whatever it was. And I noticed that when I was going down the freeway, the wind would literally knock my helmet, and it would kind of like shake my head, and it was very timid. And I'll tell you, you want to talk about some crap luck. I was working in Cranberry, PA at the time. I used to work for Verizon for a very long time. And I get on my motorcycle. I was excited to ride it because I just got the thing. This is probably my second time on a freeway, and I'm leaving work, and torrential downpour. And I wasn't sitting there. It was supposed to rain all night. I was like, screw it, you got to go. I got on that freeway. It felt like pins. It felt like needles going through your arms. Every time a semi would pass you, I mean, it was one of the scariest moments of my life. Yeah. But other than that, I don't ride like an idiot. I'm way more worried about the people that do drive their cars and trucks and do not look out for motorcycles. Those people, I'm going to say the majority are way more dangerous than actual motorcycle riders.
No kid.
Oh, yeah. There's been a few times where I've had my foot on the side of a car going crazy because they were just, I mean, if it wasn't for that, I was getting ready to go down.
Wow. And this is why I'm not allowed to have a motorcycle. Like, things like that.
Yeah.
My legs, you're a lot taller than I am. My legs won't extend to the car. Like I'm done. Lights out, dude.
Well, I'm not exactly tall myself, but no, I mean, she's not a huge fan of it. She gets it. She doesn't give me any grief about it or anything like that. She'll never get on one. She actually, the one time I actually rode up on her mom's, and she was drinking some wine. So she hopped on the back, and I was like, all right, screw it. Well, I got to take off, and she's freaking out. And I was just going to go around the block real quick. But she's hugging me so tight, I almost dumped the bike like 3 times.
Donnie, any better?
You guys still sound like. Do I sound normal now?
No, you sound. It sounds like your microphone's got a glitch in it.
It's so weird. Rob, you sound hilarious though. You sound like you're a mouse on helium. All right, I'm gonna leave for a minute and then I'll try to come back.
Are you on your phone?
Sorry,
to start
guys.
it? While he's doing that, let's get to the meat of the conversation today. And Rob, I know you know that divisions 4, 5, 6, and 7 came out with their all-state selections. There's been a ton of people in the YSN family that have been selected to it. So without further ado, let's get started here and talk about some of these great young men who were selected to all-state. And we'll start at Division 7. And I'll just read through our story that we did last night. Warren JFK's Eddie Kiernan was honored on Monday by being selected to the first team All-State as a defensive lineman. He was the only one from the area to be selected as first team All-State in D7. The 6'1", 235-pound senior was the only, again, first teamer in the YSN family in D7, but he didn't have to look far for an all-state selection. In fact, he didn't even have to leave the locker room because JFK loaded it up. JFK kicker John Dragos was tabbed as the All-Ohio second-team honoree. Antoine Brown, we call him AB on this show. Big Sammy Hindi, Michael Morrow, the Iceman, Ambrose Hozo, Alex DeSalvo, Patrick Vallant, and they were all honorable mention nominees. And I think Donnie's back, and it looks like he's nodding his head. Does it sound better?
I hear you guys perfectly. How about me?
Crystal clear, buddy.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
Crystal clear. Sebring was represented. Noah Frederick was selected as a second-team All-Ohio in the offensive backfield after a successful campaign with the Trojans this year, while his brother Elijah made the third team as a special teamer. Vinny and Mike Balone and Vinny Lako of Louisville, Wellsville's Tyler Stanley, Camden Hoskin of Wyndham, Mike Miller of Latonia, all represented the Valley as All-Ohio honorable mentions as well. And, of course, we always want to say congratulations to all these young men on the great job that they did and the way they represented the Valley here this year. Guys, I can't go without saying Eddie Kiernan leading the way on this list. He's a kid that I've been a fan of for a long time, friends with his father, friends with his family. He's a great football player, but an even better kid and a better leader. So when he was tabbed as a first-team Ohio, first thoughts for me was he's a no-doubter, and this kid is just scratching the surface on his career, because whether he goes on to play football or not, this kid's going to have a great career as doing something for somebody or someone. And I'm excited to see it. But as a fan of these youngsters, these guys that are making All-State, how cool is it to see our teams represented in a big way in the entire Buckeye State, Rob?
It just goes to what we're usually talking about when it comes to Northeastern Ohio football. Regardless of who you're playing or what team you're on, if you're in this area, we have a mantra about us when it comes to high school football, and we are literally one of the most famous areas in the entire country when it does come to Ohio State, when it comes to high school football. So there's no surprise when you see as many names as you're going to see pop up on these lists. Very proud, very happy for the players, the teams, the coaches, all the work that everybody put in, the parents, put their time in to make sure those kids get everywhere. When it comes down to the end of a high school career, you're either going to keep playing or you're not. And the majority of the time, we realistically understand that the kids are done after high school. When it comes to high school football, the majority are playing their last game as a senior in their high school alma mater. And with that being said, when your name does hit those lists, that's just another accolade that you get to keep for the rest of your life and put on a mantle, whatever. Everybody can see it. Everybody around you is just very proud of you. Period.
Donnie, you've done your fair share of roping in those accolades, and the Riccatelli's doing the same thing. Talk to me about what it means to these young men.
I mean, it's just a lot of that has to do with who has done it before you too. When you play for a lot of these schools that have storied programs, that's a goal. And usually when you meet before the regular season, you have goals set in mind, and especially when you know about the people that played before you. You kind of have that mindset that you want to be good or just as good, if not better than that person. So hats off to all these kids that are earning all these accolades, and that's divisions 4 through 7. I'm sure we're going to hear some more in the other divisions coming out probably tomorrow. So it just hard work pays off, and these kids deserve it.
Yeah, naturally, I've got you covered here. I've got everything up to 5. We're going to do a little free searching on Division 4 here today. I haven't had the story written yet. But Division 6, guys, you're going to hear some names that you know a little thing about. The toast of the town for the last 4 years, the Mahoning Valley, now officially the premier athlete in the Buckeye State. Springfield's Bo Bruncard has been selected as the D6 All-Ohio Offensive Player of the Year, in addition to his first-team selection on Monday. Bruncard, listen to these numbers. 70% of his passes were completed. That's 116 for 166, 1,779 yards, while striking pay dirt 22 times through the air, only throwing 3 interceptions the entire season. Bo also, as we know, was a tank on the ground, rushing 147 times for 1,754 yards, 32 touchdowns in 2021. That's just on the ground. So naturally, add those two numbers together, you got 54 tutties for Bo Bruncard this year, and well over 3,000 yards combined on the ground and through the air. Oh, by the way, the dude plays defense too. Bruncard had 72 tackles, 4 picks, and a fumble recovery for the Tigers as well, and he is your Offensive Player of the Year. Joining Bo in the honors of becoming first-team All-State, his teammates Lucas DeTillo on the offensive line, Marshall Yelkin on the defensive line, and Aaron Groner at linebacker, who Groner, if you guys know anything about the Springfield Tigers, seemingly was the Ray Lewis of the Mahoning Valley, because the dude was in on every tackle seemingly in every single game. Third team, all Ohioans were highlighted by Springfield's Bo Snyder as well. LeBray also got on the board with Aiden Stevens. He joined the first teamers as a defensive back. Trayvon Drake made it on the third team, as well as Devin Carter, Noah Petrie, and Anna Petrie, and Nathan Hemberger gained honorable mention as well. West Reserve, this is a kid that you know a lot about, Rob. This kid is a stud. The standout, David Altier, scored an honorable mention, along with Springfield's Shondell Gardner, Zeke Warsencroft, United's Dallas McCracken, and Brookfield's Connor Heater and A.J. Bartolin, all making honorable mention. And again, D6 well represented by the area schools as well. If you didn't have a chance to see Bo Bruncard play for Springfield, shame on you. You had 4 years to do it. It's not like he wasn't talked about. That whole Springfield team as a whole is going to look completely different next year, but I still think they're contenders, just in a different look. But if you didn't have a chance to see David Altier out at Western Reserve, Rob, what were you missing?
Let me tell you something about this kid. I remember going to, Justin's 8th grade games and 7th and 8th grade games. It was always number one. It didn't matter what was going on, if he was running, if he was tackling. That kid has been doing this for a very long time. And then you get to the high school level, and, when I was calling the Lowville West Reserve game, and I swear that kid had probably 300-some yards rushing that game. I mean, he's just a beast, and he's an athlete. Like I said, you're going to find him all over the entire field for the entire game. I don't know what kind of engine that kid has, but it does not stop. So very, very, very understandable to see him make any kind of list, because he's one hell of a football player. Basketball player, too. Jesus, he's an athlete.
Donnie, from your standpoint, I mean, what else can we say about Bo Brungard or the Springfield Tigers that peppered this list that we haven't said already?
I can barely hear you, DJ. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. What else can we say about Bo Brungard or the Springfield Tigers that we haven't said already this year?
I mean, just the fact that they're just unbelievable leaders too. I mean, it's not just on the football field for him either. It's like everything he does, everything that they do, they've really done a great job captivating the community around them as well over the last 3 years, and just kudos to them. Hats off to the entire Springfield community for having such great athletes and upstanding citizens. So, yeah, he's a stud. They're all going to reap the benefits of that for years to come because everybody wants to be like Bo now.
One of my favorite things about, and before we get to D5 and the All-Staters there, is every team will tell you before the season starts, essentially, it's all about the team, right? And for 16 weeks, it's going to be all about the team, and then the accolades come at the end. For an athlete to get these accolades, is it humble pie? You know, is it one of those things where you have to be humble and have humility in front of the press and people but when you get an award like this, an accolade like this, tell me, like, does it take you from 0 to 10 real quick?
I mean, I think it does. I mean, me personally, when I see, NFL, college, high school, it doesn't matter. We've basically have trained our athletes to be modest. And everybody's reaction is the same. Whenever they get an individual accolade, what do they do at the end of the game when they interview? Oh my God, hey, what's your face? It was an unbelievable touchdown. Oh man, I got to thank my offensive line. Which is the right thing to do, because if he doesn't, then the first thing you do, like, check this smart ass out. But as an individual, when you've done so much for a team, it's okay to be happy for yourself and take that credit for a quick minute. Nobody's saying, I'm not saying you don't have to, give your team any kind of credit. I'm saying enjoy it. You are solely responsible. When it comes down to it, you can have a good offensive line. You can have you need a good offensive line if you're going to be any kind of decent skill position. I don't care what anybody says. You can have a good coach. You can have great parents. Good support, whatever. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for those accolades. So give yourself a pat on the back. There's nothing wrong with that. Enjoy it, and be happy about it.
Donnie, you got a young lady in your house that's probably going to rack up some accolades in the next few years. I mean, what do you tell her when she's doing interviews, or when she's talking to her friends, or talking to parents, or talking to the general public?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't have to tell her much. She's well beyond her years. I mean, she's just a sophomore, but she's so seasoned with all of this so far, and she's very, very humble. Like, she does not like the spotlight. It's kind of weird. Like, we're kind of opposites in that. Like, I'll talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere. She's kind of standoffish, and she just likes to put her nose down and go to work. But like when she interviews well. She's not shy, but she's very humble when it comes to everything that she's accomplished.
Did you get that from your wife?
Probably 1,000% from her.
All right, let's get to D5 here while we still have a chance. With South Range and Garfield going undefeated all season in the regular season, guys, and well into the postseason, you knew these teams would be all over the accolade count when awards season came around, and man, they did not disappoint. The Raiders, led by Dylan Dominguez's first-team selection. Dylan, who became the first ever South Range running back in history to have 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons for the Burgundy and Gold. So congratulations to Dylan. I know he's going to YSU, and he and Bo Brungard. Think about that tandem, whether it's offense or defense. That is going to be something special for Coach Doug Phillips. Dylan was joined on the first team by record-breaking junior signal caller Billy Skirpak, as well as Michael Lally and Logan Cormell. So the Raiders loading up on the first-team accolades. Second-teamers for South Range include Jacob Brooks on the offensive line, linebacker Tyler Remish. Bailey Ryan would head the third team, and the tandem of Connor Jones, Aiden Leone, and Shane Lindstrom also were named as honorable mention. But you can't go anywhere if you're not talking about Garfield, because they had an unbelievable season. Donnie, I always look at you for Garfield because you called it when we were there that they were going to be undefeated, or LeBray, whoever won that game, was going to go undefeated, and you nailed it, my friend. Garfield landed their star running back, Anthony Dema, on the first team with Riley Laporte, garnering the same honor on the offensive line. Brody Swangowski wrapped his senior season up with a third-team All-State selection. Austin Roman hauled in an honorable mention on the offensive line, while a sophomore, Keegan Sell, made his debut as a linebacker, as did Cullen Liziak on special teams as a kicker. Crestview with a couple standouts making the list. Anthony Cusick sewed up his season and etched his name as an honorable mention quarterback, as well as a teammate who probably could have made it on offense as well, but gets selected as a linebacker. Rockland Batera makes the team as well for honorable mention. Edison, another team that we have here in the network that is officially back on. Exciting to see that. Jacob Cusick was selected to the second team, and sophomore Chase McClurg joins the team as an honorable mention linebacker, with Hunter Russell landing on the offensive line. And again, we congratulate these young men representing their families, communities, schools, and program at the highest level this season. When you're thinking D5, those are the teams you're thinking of here, especially around here. Were there any surprises? Was anybody left off, or was anybody you kind of raised your eyebrow about, wow, I didn't realize they had that good of a season necessarily? Because you look at these offensive linemen, the only time they get their name called is when there's a holding penalty. I mean, did you guys realize there was that many offensive linemen making the grade here in the area?
Go ahead, Donnie.
No, I mean, honestly, it's hard to talk about offensive linemen. It really is, because you just don't hear their names called much at all. You don't get to see the grading reports the Saturday mornings when they're in there watching film and everything else. And unless, shows like YSN show up at each place every week and do previews, they hear the coaches talk, and then they have the players come out, and you learn about some of these kids, and you're sitting next to the Hogs. It's hard to even fathom. But you knew, when we went to Garrettsville Garfield, like you said earlier, when those kids sat down, you're like, okay, these are some serious players. Like, we went to Poland, those kids sat down. There's some big boys out there, So I'm just shocked that we have that many. Not shocked. I'm proud that we have that many players making the list in this area, and it's only going to continue because these kids are just getting better and better every year.
All right, you guys, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll come back with Division 4. I'm still sorting through the list myself, so there's going to be some surprises for me, and which I'm excited about. I'm just excited for these kids that are getting the accolades they deserve. Coaches, Dan Yeagley actually got the Inland District, Northeast Inland District, whatever that list is. He was the coach of the year. So congratulations to him. I'm not trying to put it down. I just don't know what that is. Rob was trying to explain it to me the one day. That thing just came out.
I think that's the same list I was talking about the other day. It's a host of, I actually have it written down, but I want to say it's like 8 or 9 counties.
Yeah.
So it's actually a pretty broad area. So when you say like Northeastern Ohio, what I would do is basically take Ohio into 4 sections almost, and all those counties around here, that's what they mean when they say that.
That's wild. It's absolutely wild. And we didn't have that stuff growing up for that. I mean, there's all kinds of awards and accolades to be handed out. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have Division 4 All-Staters from the area right after this.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local, independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the Division 4 release here of the All-Staters here from the YSN schools. Let's start with the first team, Demarcus Mcelroy. I don't think anybody is surprised to hear that name on this list. DMAC had an unbelievable season all the way up through to and through the state championship. He's a first-team running back. Drew DeShields, kid's only a junior, and he is going to do big things, not just this year, but he'll do them next year, and he'll do them in seemingly every single sport as well, as Drew makes the team as a first-teamer. Nick Wilson from West Branch as well, a stud receiver for Drew DeShields, and those two worked well together this year. Mason Ludwig from East Liverpool, big body. This is a young man who doesn't get seemingly near enough credit or accolades during the year because that's what happens when you're on the offensive line. This kid is going to go on to be big somewhere and do big things. He's got that frame, guys, that we talk about, that bear-sized frame that is just having college recruiters salivating, and NFL guys, just recruiters, or I guess, not scouts, I guess, not recruiters. They're salivating as well because the raw talent that this young man has, and he's putting it together in a big way. Look out for East Liverpool next year because he's only a junior. Mason Ludwig, congratulations to you. Greg Rockwell of West Branch also makes the first team. And then we look to Tyreek Dunlow from Ursuline making the first team. Steve Mara of West Branch also on that first team. Let's head to the second team. Brady Shannon, the QB1 for Ursuline, headlines that team alongside Jackson Johnson, the QB1 of Salem, is on that team. That was a great throwdown between those two. Deed Boyd of Ursuline, the Harvard commit, is going to be a second-teamer. Blaze Exline, the receiver, star receiver for Salem, is on that second team as well. Brian Frasco of Ursuline and Isaac Lucas of Ursuline on that second team. Mitchell Coffey of West Branch will also join them, and Jakylan Irving of Ursuline joins as well. Let's get to the Division 4 third team with Ben Tolson of West Branch and Tom Egley of West Branch as well. And now the honorable mentions. Austin Klein of Beaver Local. This kid is a pure stud. You have to watch this kid play football. He is a big reason the Beavers did big things this year on the gridiron. Devin Toothman, speed kills, and Toothman, the dentist, is taking care of business in East Liverpool. Caleb Adams of West Branch, also honorable mention. Carson Stockman of Salem, honorable mention. Stephen Solik of Poland, Michael Gordon of Poland, Dylan Smith of Poland, Nassim Lloyd of Girard, and of course you have Christian Colosimo of Poland, Jake Dowie of Girard, Connor Strain of Girard, and Dorian Jackson of Beaver Local round out the bunch in honorable mention. Names on there, guys, that we've been talking about all season long. Congratulations to them. Again, playing at a very high level. Some of these guys, you haven't heard their name all season. You look at a Christian Colosimo. The kid did everything with a smile on his face, and he didn't look for the limelight all season long.
Yeah, and he should be on the first team, to be honest with you. It's just, Rob said it a couple shows ago, everybody played away from him. I mean, and that's an attribute to him and how hard they wanted to keep the ball away from him when he was on defense. So he's definitely a first teamer getting thrown down in the bottom there of it, but he still got mentioned, and it's a great accolade for him, but he's definitely surprised there.
It's good to see Mikey Gordon get on the honorable mention as well. That kid is a grinder. We've talked about him, I think, this week, as late as this week. So it's good to see them. I mean, you look at East Liverpool, Salem, West Branch, Girard, Ursuline, just overloading this list. It's good to see a couple Beavers on this list as well with Jackson and Klein. The Beaver local program is on the way up, and you saw it this year because it's a young team. The seniors that surrounded us at the field, they got you believing, Donnie. I remember you were the one that said, "Listen, they had me believing in them when you left that place."
They had the the perfect attitude. Honestly, I mean, when they were coming into that rivalry game against East Liverpool, and we were asking them those questions, and they were straight up saying East Liverpool's not getting in the end zone, and what happened? They shut them out, right? So they. The energy, just when you walked into the stadium, you could just feel it from them. You could feel it from Coach when he was giving them the message, after practice. It was awesome to experience. And again, if you don't have shows like that, like Ysn Power Hour, going to these schools and meeting these kids, you're not gonna fully understand what their program's all about. And hats off to you for pulling this off and making it a great year for these guys. And I'm such a huge fan of this Valley now because of that.
It's a team effort, man, and you're a big part of that team, as is Rob, and everybody here at Ysn that wears the red, white, and blue. We pulled it off together, and I think we did. Like, not to pat ourselves on the back, but we did a heck of a job. I really think so, and hopefully that there was a little bit of help for these kids. Not that they needed it, but it's always nice to shine a light on these young men and women, to give them some accolades and some confidence throughout the year to have awards like this. We have nothing to do with voting on it, but it's nice to see that their hard work is paying off. Rob, question for you. If you're not a senior on this list, that means that you're an underclassman. And how does that stack up from the pressure-wise? I mean, there's a lot that goes on into this, because if you're a sophomore or a freshman, as we saw in LeBray, that makes this list, you got to live up to it for the next 2-3 years.
I mean, depending on the position, depending on if who we're talking about as a person in general, and in myself, if I am a junior and one of my first reactions to this list is almost kind of like a salt taste in my mouth, then I'm going to use that reaction and have an amazing senior year. If you're not where you think you should be, then maybe some people didn't tell you what you needed to hear during that year. I don't know. I don't know who we're talking about, but I'm talking about in general as a person. I'll use myself as a great example. When I first started playing football for Brookfield, I don't want to say anything bad about the coaching, but let's just say the coaching wasn't there. It was his first time coaching. I love the guy, but if I was actually coached up, who knows what would happen? Yeah. But I know I wasn't. So if there's certain things that these kids in these certain positions aren't hearing, or maybe possibly not being coached in the right direction, or if they are being coached in the right direction, they're not taking it. There's so many variables that could play into that. I know me personally, if I was a junior and I was feeling a certain type of way about this list, then you better believe I'm going to be on that list next year, no matter what.
I love it. Divisions 3 and 2 released tomorrow, so we'll have more on that, and we'll obviously keep everybody up to date on ysnlive.com for the stories and for all your favorite players that make these really, really impressive.
Hey, DJ, real quick too. Are you talking about the Northeast Inland team right now?
No, this is the All-State team.
Okay,
that's great.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Because
I was going to say that Inland team that we were talking about, like I said, the counties I wrote down, it was Ashland, Columbiana, Mahoning, Medina, Portage, Stark, Summit, Trumbull, and Wayne. So that's 9 counties. And like what we were saying a little bit about Christian Colosimo, he made first team in the Inland, and then he's honorable mention for state. And like Donnie was saying, when we were talking about, there's a reason for that.
Yep. Because
I'll tell you right now, if they played the Christian side even half the time in second halves, his stats would have been sick.
Yeah, it's frustrating, obviously, for but listen, in that case, you do your job. That's your job, and I'm sure Poland did a great job from a coaching staff standpoint of this is where we want them to go. So if we put Christian on the left side, they're going to go to the right, and if we put Christian on the right side, they're going to go the opposite way. So I got to believe that's part of the success that Poland had this year. Offensively was interesting because we saw him touch the ball a lot more last year or in seasons past than we did this year. But listen, you got to believe the coaches, right? The coaches always know best. That's why they get paid the big bucks.
You want to see somebody go nuts? Sit next to his dad in the stands. Christian didn't get 4 touchdowns. He just starts going crazy. He's so funny to sit next to, but he's going off the last year too because Christian was more involved in the offense. That's even like Don Parker, like we were talking about a few weeks ago. If it was up to me, I'd be running that kid every other play. But Poland's just stacked. I mean, they have so many offensive weapons. I mean, you can't let these guys shine every play. You don't have that option. There's too many of them.
Yeah, I mean, the higher you go, I'm always interested to look at the D1 athletes and the D1 talent because those are the big boys, right? Those are the ones that everybody talks about. You're going to go from D1 to D1 usually because you're at those bigger schools. We don't have any around here from our standpoint for football, and it's always been interesting to me as to, I'm trying to think. Maslin's one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you look at a team like Maslin that's always in the mix of a championship, at least for the regular season. They've got players that go on to play in the NFL. They're playing on Saturdays. They're playing on Sundays. And they only go. Like, they two-platoon their players. You have to be very special in D1 to play both ways or play offense and special teams or offense and defense or defense and special teams. So that's the funny thing is you look at D7, sometimes you don't have enough kids to field 11 spots. So everybody plays everything, and then you go all the way up to D1, and it's like if you're playing 2 spots, it means that you're doing something right. So like Bo Brungard, again, not to praise him too much, because I know he's a very humble young man. Offense, defense, special teams. He doesn't leave the field. So it's very rare to do that, and it's going to be weird for him. It's like the other day when we were doing a game and I didn't have to move the camera. For the first quarter, I didn't know what to do with my hands. I'm so used to doing so many different things with my hands that I had to gain my composure. I think when Bo goes to the next level at YSU and he only has to do one thing, one side, either defense, offense, or special teams, look out. He's gonna kill people. Absolutely. And the same with Dominguez at South Range. So I'm really interested to see what these guys can do on Saturdays. I'm proud as hell of them for what they did this year on Friday nights and Saturday nights. So greatly appreciate the opportunity for these young men to let us into their lives a little bit over the last 16 weeks, and they deserve every accolade that they possibly get. Another one that we want to talk about to end the show, guys, Corey Linsley. Now playing for the Los Angeles Chargers, a former Green Bay Packer, a former Buckeye, and a former Boardman Spartan, is now up for Walter Payton Man of the Year. That, I would argue, is one of the cooler things that I've seen in the time that I've been here at YSN. There's Linsleys that live in East Palestine that we're very close with. Here, and Matt Mowry is married into the Linsley family, who's our announcer for Salem. And, of course, Donnie, you got the ties there at Boardman. What does this mean to Boardman in this area that we have a kid, I should say kid, we have a guy, a man, that is up for one of the most prestigious honors in the National Football League?
Well, I mean, anytime Corey comes back into town, he's so generous with his time. He's donated uniforms to the varsity football team. I mean, the kid, you just know a kid like that, like you see, okay, now this is what the award, now we know like who they're going after, the character, the people that they're going after for these awards, because you see it with him every time he's back in town, and what he's done for the school system and even in the community. He's such a positive person. Like, the best thing about him is he remembers his teachers. He remembers all of his coaches. He remembers all of his teammates. You know what I mean? Like, you could go, he's playing for the Chargers now or whatever, but like, he can remember every single kid that he's played with, probably all the way since little Spartans. You know what I mean? So, just a high character guy. They did a big post about him earlier today on the excellent page for Boardman, and just it makes you feel good because, hey, guess what? He roamed those halls. and it's something that you could tell those students now. Hey, look, there's somebody that's up for, like, first of all, a lot of these kids don't know who Walter Payton is, which is completely sad in its own respect. So maybe a little history lesson first to let them know like what kind of person Walter Payton was, and then let them know like, hey, this person roamed the halls. You could be that person too. So it's huge.
Rob, from your standpoint, I mean, it's naturally exciting to have someone from our area be up for an award that only 32 people are nominated for a year. Is there any other award out there that, other than maybe the MVP, that you'd want to have listed on your resume when you were done with your football career?
I don't know, man. Walter Payton's a pretty big one. I mean, don't forget. I mean, this guy's what? I was just looking it up. 5 years, $63 million contract. I mean, it's pretty easy to lose your head pretty quick when you become a multi-millionaire that fast. Seems very level-headed. I don't know Corey, as a person, but I can tell you that, just by reading about him, he seems like one hell of a person. And if you're up for the Walter Payton Award, you better be one hell of a person. And everybody knows that, the ones that do know about Walter Payton. I mean, other than that and MVP, I mean, I would say that, now, me personally, I don't know. I mean, we can toss it up. But, give me the Walter Payton or the MVP. I probably prefer the MVP, maybe. But I believe that those would be the two best awards out there for the NFL, right?
I think the MVP is going to get you more money, but I think the Walter Payton Award garners more respect.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it definitely makes sense because it's true. The MVP is telling everybody that you were the most valuable player in the NFL. So everybody knows what that is from ages 6 on up. Now, as soon as you come in second place with the Walter Payton Award, then you're going to have half your audience go, who's Walter Payton, which, like Donnie said, is pretty sad in itself. But again, somebody that comes from this area, they are that good that fast. Becomes a multi-millionaire hand over fist, and still come back to the community and give their time. It's not just about donating money and things like that, or certain people need help. It's just the time in itself means a lot to people. And, knowing that this man still does that for Boardman, yeah, you got to take your hat off to him.
Yeah, we saw Derek Wolf come back a couple years ago to Beaver Local and donate all the money for the Wolf Den and the new field with GM and Pastor. And we've seen the new Beaver Local field is absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to see the facilities they're creating that they're calling the Wolf Den. We're just so blessed here in this area to have the talent that goes on to do big things and brings it back home. JT Miller here from East Palestine is in the NHL, has been, I don't know that he's won the cup. I know that he's been in the Stanley Cup Finals and he's been close, but I would hope that if he and when he wins the cup, brings it back and there's a ride through East Palestine and a parade being thrown for one of the best grinders in the NHL. And as good of a hockey player as JT Miller is, he was that much better of a baseball player, just didn't like the sport. He was absolutely stupid good at playing baseball, like was hitting balls as a hockey player would. We would throw like almost the Ichiro drill where you throw the ball and it hops up. Dude's hitting dingers off of the Ichiro drill. I mean, he was very, very talented. His brother Matt, just as talented as well, and we wish him as well. The Ohio State has 5 nominees for the Walter Payton this year. That says a lot, boys. They can't get a quarterback in the NFL, but they can get all the good guys in the NFL, so to speak. Donnie, you're an Ohio State fan. I mean, I guess you're both Ohio State fans. Talk to me about what that says about the Ohio State University and the program.
I mean, it's going to say a lot. I mean, you have, if I'm not mistaken, it's Sam Hubbard at Cincinnati, Linsley at the Chargers. You have Cam Hayward for the Steelers, Denzel Ward for the Browns, and Jerome, I think it's Jerome Baker, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know who he plays for, though. I can't remember. I can't keep track of all of the Buckeyes in the NFL, DJ. But no, I mean, honestly, they're character people, and it started, honestly, after John Cooper got fired. It started with Jim Tressel, and I think he reset the tone at Ohio State, and they want high character guys, and I mean, there's a few knuckleheads that have gone through the program, and sometimes you're going to have that. You coach them up or coach them out. So, I heard that. No, but honestly, hats off to them. They've shown in their communities that they are willing and able to help, and I'm excited for that.
I wonder what Terrell Pryor's up to now.
Probably not much.
Isn't he arrested? Didn't he get arrested?
I don't know. His girlfriend stabbed him or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's another thing, too. People keep in mind, too, when it comes to, like, the Walter Payton Award. If you're going to Ohio State, and I'm sure that, a few people can slip behind this number, you have to have a GPA out of high school of, like, 3.83. It's either 3.83 or 3.84, whatever it is. So it's not like you could be a complete ignorant dummy and attend the Ohio State University. So, and the graduation rate's high. So, when you get these guys that do go from Ohio State into the NFL, unless you're a quarterback, the transition is usually pretty smooth. We all know the story. Ohio State hasn't had a quarterback in the NFL since Tom Zach or whatever. I think it was Tom Zach. But that's done anything. But anything else, any other position seems to get along just fine with the NFL. So
I'm all right with Mike Tomczak, man. What a high character guy he is as well. Congratulations again to Corey Linsley and way to represent the area. Proud, man. I cannot wait. My wife's gonna roll her eyes. I can't wait to get a 63 Chargers jersey and wear it around proudly. We're gonna hang one in the office and then wear one proudly and hopefully get that signed and represent him because he represents us very, very well. So thank you, Corey Linsley, for all you do and for being a impact player, not only on the field but off the field as well. Gentlemen, it's time. It's time for the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, you need to go to the official electric supplier of your sports network. Go to DickeyElectric.com to learn more. Roboito, what is your spark today, sir?
I have a positive and a negative. So the positive is what we were talking about a bit ago. If you are a local high school offensive lineman, just know that YSN is doing their part to make sure you do get your accolade. I will say that a few games that I called, one of the first things I do when I walk on the field, I go to each coach, I get the starting lineman's number, I write those numbers down, I make sure the names are matched, and about 3 times during the game, whenever they score or on pass, I make sure to call out all of those offensive linemen. Without them, they're not moving the ball. Negative. This goes out to if it's a CEO or if it's a board, I don't care what it is. Whoever is in charge of Taco Bell, what I need you to do is get off of your freaking high horse like you thought you were riding some god dang Clydesdale out of North Dakota, and you can make any decision you want. Stop messing around, for God's sakes. Do everybody in this country, the world, whatever, a favor, and bring that forsaken Mexican pizza back before I do something stupid.
Do you want to follow that?
Listen, I'll follow that for sure because the Mexican pizza is awesome. Man, I could order like 6 of those right now. Oh, no, but my positive spark is I get to call the boys game tonight at Boardman. First time doing a boys basketball game at Boardman. So excited to be on the call tonight with YSN and the crew. And I would say to the Taco Bell CEO, yeah, bring back that pizza, buddy.
So you guys are talking about bringing back the pizza. Why is Taco Bell closed at like 7 o'clock now? Like every Taco Bell I drive past is like closed at 7 o'clock. And I know there's like the workers, there's not enough people working, but like Burger King's open, Pizza Hut's open, McDonald's is open. What's wrong with Taco Bell? Chipotle's open. It's not Mexican food. It's what's wrong with Taco Bell? They're supposed to be up till like 2 o'clock. That's the food you're supposed to eat if you're a college kid when you are not feeling so good or when you're feeling really good, depending on it. So that is my spark. Kind of going off of what you guys are saying. Where is Taco Bell's late night menu? Like they've turned into like the old person place because they're done at like 2 o'clock. So Taco Bell, come back. Just bring the Mexican pizza back with you, but but come back and
don't release a story about talking about bringing it back. Just bring it back. I don't want to read anything that you were thinking about it. All I want to do is accidentally drive into a Taco Bell and say, "Holy crap, it's back!"
There it is. Let's wrap it up with a couple comments. Sigler says Hayward is a great example of a high character guy from the Ohio State. I cannot agree more. And Positive Spark at United to call the boys game tonight. Crestview versus United should be a good one. Yes, it should. Yes, it should. I have the night off, so I get to watch YSN. We got a ton of stuff going on. Donnie, I'll be watching yours for sure. Can't wait to see that one and hear. I just love the golden pipes of Donnie Riccatelli because he just belts out YSN 800 times like he's a paid advertiser. Pipes. I love it.
Oh my God. I got that $1 million check in the mail too for the advertising.
Good. I'm glad. Don't cash it till Monday, okay? Just whatever you do, don't cash it till Monday.
I'll wait.
That's gonna do it for the Power Hour. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you so much. Tune in tomorrow. Scotty Mincher will be with us here live and in person on the Power Hour. Gentlemen, we'll see you tomorrow.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network.